Welcome to 100 Yards of Football this morning. It's our NFL Draft Prospect Special. Today we're going to highlight Romeo Doubs, wide receiver out of the University of Nevada. So if you like the video today, please come in and share it. I'm your host, Vincent Turner. And joining me is a gentleman I consider the best is doing this right now. He does an enormous amount of hours of work looking at these players. I know it for sure. He puts 16 hours a day in, talking about all these great prospects getting ready for the 2022 NFL draft. I would put him up against anybody on the national level covering these players. He's experienced. He studied under the two of the best that ever done it, Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick as a scout with the New York Jets. And he writes for CNN SI, covering the Detroit Lions and the New York Jets. He's wrote for one of the top websites that's coming to Draft Diamonds. And he's a guy that's very known on Twitter and covering these players. And I love him for being on my show and coming joining me every other week here at 100 Yards Football. And we surely appreciate him. And he has a book out, Whatever It Takes. And I tell you this, listen to the name of the book, Whatever It Takes. And once you read the book, you'll understand the journey he's went through. And it's a journey that I will put up against anybody. And it's deep. But I'm proud, I'm honored, and I'm very blessed to have him on the show with me. And over the next few months, covering all these great prospects. And he's coming live out of Key West, Florida this morning with his good-looking New York Jets hat. My man, Mr. Daniel Kelly. How you doing this morning, sir?
Hey, I'm doing well, Mr. Turner. Thank you for the compliment on the Jets JTS hat, and doing well. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic this morning. So further ado, you know how we do it. What you like about this young man out of University of Nevada, Romeo Doubs?
Well, we can take a look at him on our screen there. Romeo Doubs, wide receiver, Nevada. To answer your question, Mr. Turner, I like a lot about Romeo Doubs. He has a veteran feel to him as an incoming rookie. 6'2", 200 pounds. I looked at him in 3 games in 2021 against Boise State, against Kansas State, and also against Cal. He is my wide receiver 5 in a very deep wide receiver class this year coming into the 2022 NFL draft. This guy's another guy that put together back-to-back 1,000-yard plus seasons at Nevada. 2021, he had 80 catches on 113 targets, 1,109 yards, 13.9 yard average, 11 touchdowns, and long of 66 yards. 2020, 58 receptions, 1,002 yards, 17.3 average, 9 touchdowns, and a long of 65 yards. If you go back to ESPN.com and pull up this young man's statistics over the last 4 seasons, this guy has put up numbers, and he has also put up a very nice per catch average while at Nevada. 2018, 13.1 yard average. 2019, 14.8 yard average. 2020, as I touched on, 17.3 yard average. 2021, 13.9 yard average. What does all the numbers mean? It means this guy can stretch the field and he can move the chains. There is something about this guy from the first time I saw him when I wrote him up previewing bowl season for SI All Lions. There is something about him that resonates with me from the first moment. I can always tell the very first moment I see a player on film if he's going to be a player or not a player, if I like him or don't like him. And this is a guy who I like and have liked the entire time, every time I've had a chance to watch him on game film. A very interesting and intriguing prospect. Because why? Because he can work it at all 3 route levels: short, intermediate, and he can work it deep. This guy, let's talk about how he is as a receiver. He has a fast get off from a line of scrimmage, a very fast first step. He gets into his routes very quickly. He does not waste time. He has a knack, a feel. And this is where I talk about where he has a veteran feel to him, a very mature receiver feel to him, because he has a knack for creating separation. I just did an article on Christian Kirk for Detroit Lions Sports Illustrated, and Kirk has the same type of ability to create an uncanny ability to create separation in routes. And this guy has that same type of Christian Kirk ability. He has a nice head fake. He'll give you a head fake coming off the line, boop, and he's gone. He has nice double moves coming off the line of scrimmage. He's very active. He uses his hands. He's a shake and bake receiver coming off the line of scrimmage at the snap. He's a guy who can run all those short wide receiver screens, those bubble routes. He's polished, and he has a decent catch radius. What do I mean? One of my biggest pet peeves in football is when people use these terms and don't describe what they're talking about on the TV announcers and things. When I say a catch radius, I mean like, can he catch passes that are thrown high? Can he catch passes thrown low? Can he catch passes that are not right in the numbers? Some guys have a big catch radius. They can catch anything thrown remotely close to them. Like Randy Moss used to have a huge catch radius. This guy has a very decent catch radius. The thing I like about him is he will sell out and go out to try to catch the ball. He'll go down to the ground. He'll dive for the passes. And so this guy's got a decent catch radius, which is good news, because that means he'll probably be very productive in the National Football League. He has decent hands. Sometimes, yes, he does body catch the ball. Sometimes he catches with his hands. He's got decent change of direction, and he's able to get open at the intermediate level as well. He excels at getting open deep. This guy has enough speed to turn it on and create separation and get a step deep. He showed a nice deep comeback route. Anyone who can get open like this guy, you have to keep an eye on him. I think his draft stock is going to continue to go up and to increase, and he's going to be a name you're going to hear more and more of as we get closer to the draft. This is a guy, Romeo Doubs, that shows good focus and concentration. This is another thing that shows that he's a very mature wide receiver. Even in heavy coverage, he showed he can focus on the ball and see it through and make the reception. He's a very interesting combination of quickness and speed. He showed he can also, another veteran move, he can work back to the quarterback when he's in trouble. He caught almost everything thrown at him. And another interesting thing about this that people may not know is he has a little history as well as a punt returner. He had 37 punt returns while at Nevada for a 16.5 yard average. He's a real nice second or third round pick. There's not much I didn't like about him. This guy is loved football his entire life. And since he was 4 years old, in correction, the punt returns, it was 12.5 yard average he had on punt returns. But this guy's loved football his entire life. And he's had a hard life coming up. He's somebody who lost somebody close to him about a year ago, I read. And he's somebody that is a very, again, I keep touching on this, a very mature receiver for an incoming rookie. I think he'll fit into a team very well. He has some Charlie Brown to him, the great Redskins receiver for years and for the Atlanta Falcons. He has some Doki Williams to him, a name I'll throw from way back in yesteryear from the Raiders. He's a guy that will also stick his nose in there and try to run block. I like what I see of this young man. And if I'm a general manager and I'm looking for a wide receiver in the second round, I'm looking at Romeo Doubs. Your thoughts, Mr. Turner?
When I think about Mr. Doubs, I think about explosive athlete, dynamic. And then we talk about his production. You brought up his year production, but look what he done in his career in Nevada. 3,322 yards, almost career average 14 yards of reception, 26 touchdowns. But I like his size too. About 6'2", 205. And I go back and watch that California game film, which they played the first game of the year against Cal, a Pac-10 school. And it was a catch he made in that game. It was a 43-yard touchdown. How he got behind that defensive back and what we call he separated. So when I think about that in separation, I think about Cliff Branch. the Raiders. I talk about Roy Green, Mike Quick, Lance Bambi Allworth, the great Bob Hayes, Flipper Anderson that played at UCLA with the Rams. And I'm not going to say a lot because I don't want to create no controversy today. But I did say this last year, and our producer Jeremiah Long could contest this before I met you, Mr. Kelly. We was talking about drafts last year, the receivers in the draft. Everybody was on Devontae Smith, unrightly so because he won the Heisman Trophy. But when it was all said and done, I said that man out of LSU, Jamar Chase was going to be the best receiver in the draft. And I think he proved that because he played in the Super Bowl. Now, I'm not saying Mr. Doubs has that type of ability, but I see a little bit of Jamar Chase because I see an ability every time this young man went up against competition. He beat the other team's best defensive back, and he was getting behind them. So one more time, he's got a little Flipper Anderson, a little bit of that world-class speed and Bob Hayes, a little bit of Mike Quick, James Lofton, Roy Green, Cliff Branch. And then, like you said, you brought up his life. He's out of South Central LA, not one of the best areas to grow up in, but he did go to Jefferson High School, a high school that's got a lot of history. Woody Stroud, one of the first African-American actors and athletes who went to UCLA, attended that high school. The great singer, musician Barry White, and the great jazz musician Roy Ayers. So he's been around royalty going to that high school by the name of Jefferson. So, and then you mentioned his maturity level. To me, he's going to be a serious football player when he gets to the NFL. And any team that takes him, I would not be surprised if this young man produces right off the bat. Final words about Mr. Doubs, Mr. Daniel Kelly.
A lot of good thoughts, Mr. Turner, for sure. It sounds like you like him, like I like him. He's somebody that, if I'm the Jacksonville Jaguars, this is a guy that I'm looking at because Trevor Lawrence, the one thing he can do really well is that he's got a cannon for an arm. He can throw it deep, and Romeo Doubs can get deep. I mean, you say you don't like to create controversy. Well, I sure do. That's for darn sure. And I'll tell you what, I'll take Romeo Doubs over Chris Olave or Drake London for any day of the week. This guy is a very polished wide receiver. We're going to be hearing his name quite a bit, and I think he's going to have a very productive NFL career. It's all about finding those guys that can get open, and it's a lot of these guys have trouble creating separation, but not Romeo Doubs. He can create the separation, and that's the thing I like most about him. And he can concentrate, and he shows the game is important to him. One of Bill Parcells, the man who hired me, one of the things that he talked about with the critical factors of scouting. Is football important to him? That was one of the critical factors for Bill Parcells that I learned under. And you can tell that football is very important to Romeo Doubs. He wants to win. You can tell that by the way he sells out and he dives for the football and he tries to make the catch. I think this guy can really help a young quarterback. I think he can help a veteran quarterback. And I think
All right, back.
And not only that, but he could be a guy that sneaks into the first round. Don't be surprised if he sneaks into the end of the first round as well. Mr. Turner.
My final words about Romeo Doubs is very simple. And before I get there, if you like the video, please comment and share. We surely appreciate it here. One of y'all football. Special thanks to our producer, Mr. Jeremiah Long, for making it happen this morning. My final words about Mr. Doubs. South Central, the city of Compton, the city of LA. But I'm going to go to Brooklyn, New York, the Beastie Boys. Mr. Doubs is going to be that brass monkey, that funky monkey, brass monkey junkie, that funky monkey, Romeo Doubs. It's going to be a very surprising football player in the 2022 NFL draft. So if you like the video, please comment and share it. It's been an honor. It's been a pleasure. I'm Mr. Football, Vincent Turner. And joining me, the very talented Mr. Daniel Kelly, the #1 NFL scout coming to us out of Key West, Florida. Y'all be blessed.